major projects include a permanent exhibition on Mahatma Gandhi, My Life is My Message at Sabarmati Ashram, Ahmedabad, and Yoga Darshan at Gopuri, Wardha, and National Salt Satyagraha Memorial at Dandi, for which he is the creative head of international design team. His current research, this is what will actually interest a lot more, is in developing appropriate interaction design solutions for Indian needs based on emerging technology possibilities, universal and self-evident design, and in defining rich learning environments to replace institutionalized teaching. And so we all often complain about how our current education system is in its current setup, either institutionalization or over-regulated, does not give us enough freedom to explore, to learn differently, when actually as India we have a rich culture of education. So we've lost a little bit somewhere in the way. But whereas knowledge and education is all about liberation. So since I don't know anyway too much about the topic, I will keep my mouth shut and let Professor Trivedi talk to us about education for Sarvodaya and liberating learning. Welcome, Professor Trivedi. I'd just like Dhruva to give you a quick...
It's okay? Yeah. Total about an hour. The first one is actually a series I had given in 3 cities in Taiwan at the request of Taiwan government to design students as to what the response should be to the sustainability crisis. And the second, the shorter presentation after that is about freedom in education. So please clean the filter. It's taking for a long time to clean the filter. So please do it sometime. Yeah, I know, but I designed projectors, and it's time to clean the filter now. So the sustainability crisis, a word which needs no introduction. And basically what it means is the way of life as we have now, even for the very rich, is not sustainable. It cannot go on like this, the way we consume material, because one of the major reasons for this sustainability crisis is material resources are depleting very fast. Some things will disappear just 10 years from now. So there will be no more certain kinds of metals or things or whatever. There will be just no more stock. We would have exhausted everything. Normally people blame this to the growth in population, that it's growing very fast and that's why material resources are depleting. But last 50 years the population increased by only 50%, but resource utilization increased by 1000%. So same population using and wasting much more. This is the Black Friday in US when the sales happen and people rush to buy, from the supermarket. The huge crowds descend and they special sales. So the main cause, not the population, but material and physical economy. This is, we can say, the main reason this is happening. Because in material economy, it was proposed that the more you consume, the better the economy is. This was given as a proposition. And so you have to constantly encourage consumption. And that desire to consume more and more makes for a richer nation. For example, and this is how we define economic depression. If Americans stop buying things, the world goes in a depression. So, to do that, you have advertisements like this. Finally, the amazing iPhone 4 now available in white. The great thing is, it only changed color, but the way it's presented as if all the problems of the world are over because iPhone now available in white. The reason it's in white, because till now it was black, and if next 2 months you don't have a white iPhone in your pocket, you are still carrying the older iPhone. So it's very visible. In this cycle of buy, use, throw, buy again getting shorter and shorter. 90% of what we take out of the ground become waste only in 3 months, and this is non-biodegradable waste. And also, because it's combined, it cannot be used as a material resource for thousands of years. So it's total waste. We can trace, we are saying because of material and physical economy, sustainability crisis has come, and we can trace it to industrial revolution. There, because of the possibility of mass production, you could make much more than what we could consume. Before, we made what the village or local community could consume. So, you had to find new markets to sell whatever you made. And we colonized countries, non-industrialized nations, by use of force, and exploited their natural resources to make wealth for the industrialized nations. And in this process, they destroyed self-sustaining cultural patterns which were running for thousands of years without any problem. Cultural patterns which will repeat, and they created a dependent consumption economy. Because of which, among the many changes which came in the society, it became an acceptable, not only acceptable, but a desirable value. And this change has come in my lifetime. I'm 65 years old. When I was 10, it was not so. People used to look down on people who were selfish and greedy. But now they are models to be emulated. So increasing personal or corporate wealth at the cost of health of the world has become acceptable. As long as the company makes get profits, if the world goes to dogs, it's okay. The first thing is maximization of shareholders' value, and it's considered a goal you can pursue without feeling guilty. And designers and design profession actually have played a very big role in creating this culture of overconsumption, because we create brand, we make things more desirable, you constantly create new models, and we create a cycle of perceived obsolescence. Perceived obsolescence means this thing works perfectly all right, but it seemed to be obsolete. So you stop using it. So it's not obsolete, but it seemed to be obsolete. And basically, though the intended objective of design profession is to meet human needs and desires and keep people happy, but basic aim in the market economy is you keep people dissatisfied with whatever they have, so they should buy more. So we have these kind of shops everywhere. It can be any airport, anywhere, or a big mall, where they tempt you into buying all those things if you see. So everybody has bags, watches, suitcases, perfumes, but still a new inducement is given to buy. And just 2 years of following this way of life, all the material on the verge of depleting. So it's very clear that this was not sustainable. There's something wrong with material economy. Fortunately for us, and this is what this talk will lead to, the material economy is coming to an end, and there is a new era, knowledge and creative economy, which promises a lot of hope. It's good just to sum up very quickly and to compare material economy and knowledge economy. So they have completely opposite set of properties. In material economy, if you share your wealth with others, your wealth reduces. If you have 20 shirts and you give 10 to somebody else, you only have 10 shirts. If you have 2 lakh rupees and you give 50,000 to someone, you have less. So if you share, your wealth reduces. Also, if only you have something and nobody else has it, is perceived to be very valuable. So people want a lot of premium is to being exclusive. There are actually advertisements which say not everyone can afford it. No? They actually, this is the tagline. And to accumulate material wealth, you need more effort. As a consequence of this, to appear well off in a material economy, one develops an accumulative instinct. You want to have more and more, so you appear richer than others, even if you don't need any more. And there is a competition always in owning more than others. Along with this, automatically, and it seems in no way to diminish the desire to own, comes the stress of ownership. As soon as you own something, comes the stress. First comes the stress, if it's unaffordable, how do I get the money to buy it? Then if you buy it, and if it's very expensive, then you worry about whether it will be damaged, or how to protect, or will it get lost, or how do I... So as soon as you want to own something, a stress comes. If there is a tree, or there is mountain, or sea outside, you don't own it, there is no stress. But as soon as you call something your own, and finally you develop selfishness and lack of concern for others. Knowledge and creative economy, completely different. First of all, and this needs to be integrally understood, that knowledge expands when you share with each other. You get richer when you share your knowledge. You know? If you hold, all the people who believe in IPR and patents and holding and exclusive rights or whatever, the more you hold things, most of the problems right now is we are entering knowledge economy, but it's being run by people with material economy mindsets. So they write copyright everywhere, whatever, every slide will be written. Also, just one-time effort. If you sing a great song, then for years, 20 years, it will continue to create wealth for you. So one-time effort creates great wealth, and it's more valuable, more the number of people using. So if it's free, and a huge number of people, the companies like Google and YouTube and a whole lot of such things, they gain their value, or WhatsApp, because so many people are using. So just one user creates no value, and it promotes sharing. So as a matter of course, previously I would not have given my photography album. As a matter of course, we share everything. We share songs, we share thoughts, we share music, we share movies, we share everything. And this changes the personality because you are easy and open to collaborate and work with others. And many different kinds of wealth emerge than just material wealth. And as a result of this, a new lifestyle is emerging. I'll expand on this more. First, the physical is losing its value. So things are getting smaller and smaller, or completely disappearing, but experience gets better. There are multiple uses of the same physicality. Actually, there is no more value in objects, and many of the designers now thinking like my major preoccupation, how to get rid of objects. If this room gets completely empty, we have a very desirable situation, empty of all the objects. So there is less value to owning and more value to sharing, collaborating, expressing, and new parameters of wealth. So in our tradition, we had 8 great kinds of wealth, the 8 Mahalakshmis. This is primal wealth, Aishwarya Lakshmi, Dhan Lakshmi, Dhanya Lakshmi, Gaj Lakshmi, Santan Lakshmi, Vijay Lakshmi, 8 hands, and Veer Lakshmi. So wealth is not just money in the bank, but it's the number of friends you have. It's the kind of ideas you have. Great ideas, you are very wealthy, and then people will pay you a lot. If you have great energy, if you have great enthusiasm, if you have a great network of people, that's also being very wealthy, not just having physical money in the bank. So I think this was the tragedy of India. India never really a poor country. Great ideas, great thoughts, great whatever, just made to feel poor because the physical money became less. And no one is really poor, we're just unaware of one's wealth. Actually, if you think, what can you do with money? You can buy all of this. You don't have ideas, you can buy somebody who has ideas. You don't have a network, you can buy somebody who has a network. So it only has exchange money, but no wealthy ourselves. Like the great Hanuman had to be told by Jamban, you can jump, and he jumped. Before this, he didn't know he had this in him. So we are coming with this introduction that in knowledge and creative economy, the traditional Asian way of life, the way Asia had up to now, assumes new importance. Actually, it becomes a direction for the future. These are the 4 points I will expand. So in Asian way of life, first of all, there is great stress on experiencing life with attention to every moment. This is actually considered the basic way to live very happy, because only the moment exists, and if you just keep the present happy, there is no unhappiness. Then life in a sitting down posture, then intellectual and creative living has a higher value than material living. And then an attitude to nurture various things. Not kill, not step over somebody to go ahead, but nurture to ensure continuity. Senno Rikyu is a famous Japanese Zen monk and one of the great philosophers of Chanoyu, the Japanese tea ceremony. And he said, the way of tea is nothing. First you boil water, then you make tea, then you drink it. No? Nothing more. So these are Japanese houses. If you see, there is a teapot, there is a scroll, and it's empty sentence. And the traditional house in Asia, especially perfected in Japan, they were multifunctional spaces for living in harmony with nature. So inside is outside and it's open. So you constantly see the cycle of the day, the change of the season, and the difference between this kind of environment where everything is closed and it could be anywhere, anytime, any place, as compared to this kind of situation. Because nature is part of the ambience and which is constantly changing, a very interesting landscape continuously emerges, and the space you live in is directly changing. Then we see this tokonoma in the middle, which is a thought. So that is space not empty, but filled with a great thought. And then as things happen, as the sun rises or shadows fall, the space keeps on changing. And in this, great attention is paid, not to create uniformity, not to make a building with all the pillars same, all the windows same, all the everything same. I live in IIT. We have a large corridor, both sides, everything same. So architects just work by pasting. But everything here is carefully placed, the way the stone is selected, its color. So whatever we see around us is worthy of attention. This changes the way we respond. Otherwise we become indifferent to nearly everything. So irregularity, grains, patterns, irregular patterns, textures of various kinds. This building, for example, what seems like a painting in the middle actually is just a cutout, and you see the sea through it, but which makes it a dynamic painting. In the modern house, which we adopted for most of us, we reduce the space experience and we reduce the usability of spaces. because we lock spaces into single function. And we fill up space with furniture, and the kind of furniture we use defines what that space is. For example, as soon as you put living room furniture in this place, all it can be is a living room. Just the presence of these sofas and the table. And normally, I'm sorry, I forgot to switch off. Normally, we leave the most important part of the house like this. So the word A by itself is full of possibilities. I can have hundreds of thousands of things which can begin with A. But when it becomes nth, it becomes insignificant and very small. So the more we identify ourselves with a smaller sub-identity, the more we diminish ourselves. For example, if I say I'm a logo designer, so I just become a logo designer. I say I'm a designer, then I'm bigger than a logo designer. And I say I'm a human being. Each step which we take to say I'm a living being, we expand our level of awareness. So if you are a graphic designer and another person is a product designer, you are in conflict situation, you are different. But as soon as you come to a common platform, you stop diminishing and increase. So we have spaces filled which decide what the space will become. And ultimately, a huge space just gets totally cluttered with things. And this clutter of physical objects actually is where most of the expense and most of the stress is. And we can now, because of technology and because of the way things are changing, we can begin to think like this. Do we actually need lamps and light fittings, or do we just need comfortable light in the room? Because it's possible to have comfortable light room without lamps and light fittings. Then the problem of material use and obsolescence disappears. Do we need pleasant airflow, or do we need air conditioner? Do we want music, or do we want music system? As soon as you want music system, that's what the material economy thrives on. Sony tries to sell you huge bars of aluminum, 6 of them on sexy stands, where the speaker is just this thick. Rest is just an extruded aluminum in a very nice finish. So they seduce you into buying material, which creates the material crisis. Senorik, you said, if you have one teapot and you can brew your tea in it, that will do quite well. How much does he lack himself who must have a lot of things? Because we tend to reassure ourselves that we are well off by accumulating. So a very interesting thing now happening. When a phone is used as a calculator, it becomes a calculator. When you use it as a compass, it's a compass, decibel meter, microphone, whatever, one product has many possibilities, and so many things disappear. Second point we are just discussing point which lead to overconsumption in material economy, and which have caused this crisis. So second point is, in Asia, for a very long time, we naturally sat on the ground without chairs. This was quite acceptable, and sitting down posture is natural in all of Asia. Actually, whole lifestyle built around this. Our musical concerts, you have sitting down on the ground. And the great studies or monks or whatever, and this has been from the edges. This is Borobudur, and you can see. And actually this posture where you're sitting on the ground and you can touch the ground is considered to be a very great posture, because you are in touch with the ground, the Bhumi Sparsh Mudra. And it has. Then comes, if we compare just flexibility of posture to posture, sitting down on the ground has lot more flexibility. There is only so much you can do, sitting on a chair. Maximum you can do if you're very adventurous is cross your legs and sit right, sitting down. But here, so you can kneel on this, you can spread your legs, and not just poor people. It has become sort of to look down on people who sit down or don't have chairs and all. There are only poor people who can't afford furniture sit down. But the aristocrat, the kings, the maharajas, the princes, all sit down. In Japan, even now, the chairman and managing directors of the big multinational corporations, when they go for a pleasant evening out, they sit down. This is Maharaja. Now, just look at this. All you need is some place to sit down. These are the emperor, and anywhere, and it's a very comfortable posture. This is a noble man having breakfast. I changed my room in IIT to remove all furniture and sit down for last 3 years. This is the interesting advantage that either you should, if you want to come and talk with me, you should take off your shoes and come sit down. Otherwise, you should stand in front of me on the door. There are only two possibilities. So it's a power posture also. It's a great posture. If you try to imagine a boardroom meeting, the person, the chairman or CMD, whoever, sitting at the head of table, he cannot raise his height. He can just have a chair with a bigger back to show he is more important, but it cannot be elevated. So the bigger the chair you have, the smaller one appears in comparison. So this is the school. So how this came about, I tried to trace it. So in nearly all the Asian countries, we have free robes or loose clothes, which makes sitting down very easy, till the Britishers came and they wore trousers. So for them to sit down, if it's tight fit trousers, slightly difficult. So then we need, so this is an image from this time there is still merchants, and you can see the discomfort with which they are sitting, but everyone else relaxed. But when they became ruler and acquired more power, then they are provided chairs. And when they became our lords, they changed the way of thinking. So we feel the first thing we should do when we make anything is to fill it with chairs. But it's perfectly possible to eliminate them. We are looking at sitting as a power posture. Just look at the stability of this posture. Now we get the triangular pyramid base fully. So this is Maharaja Yashwantrao Holkar. Now just see the majesty of that posture, or the spiritual gurus. They just sit slightly elevated. And the flexibility. So you can stretch the legs. You can kneel down, and then how little you need. You just need some musical instruments or a screen. And actually this thought I had given in my class in Singapore, and say, can we think of everything without chairs? And they said it will look terrible, it will look weird if airports had no chairs. So you have to imagine airports without chairs. So actually Frankfurt airport or somewhere, there are tired people waiting between flights, and you have just these chairs, and they put deliberately barriers in between so you cannot sleep. And people sleeping all over, on ledges and sitting and whatever. As soon as we shift to a flexible space, so we had in Japan auditorium and community spaces and clubs and everything. So it's a second point. Actually, this talk leads to a very interesting conclusion. To solve sustainability crisis, wear loose clothes and sit on the ground. No, if you give this. So third point is, we have a globalized world which also has become a monotonous world. Everywhere you go, and more it's spreading, it's this kind of shop. Every big city is this. And if we just ask the question, which is better, a world which is same everywhere or a world which is full of interest and diversity? And I think hardly anyone except owners of these chains would say that the world which is different everywhere is more interesting. Otherwise, why should I go anywhere to see anything if Beijing is same as Manila? So this is a place in China called Yixing. It's a small town with a very old tradition of making pottery. And they make the most beautiful, because of the clay and because of the tradition, very fine pottery. And it's known throughout the world, just one little village for what it does. And imagine, this is what Gandhiji tried to do. Every place has its own unique culture and something very interesting coming out from them. Then it becomes so interesting to go anywhere. You go to see kalamkari, or you go to see fulkari, or you go to see, if it's the same shops with the same things. So this is just one place. These are handmade things, not thrown on the pot, and three major kinds, and just one place. So we come to the next thought. We say we are entering knowledge and creative economy. So what does it mean to be living creatively? So these three words, creative, creation, and creator, we can think about. What's the difference between creator and consumer, and how much of what we consume we create? And it turns out nearly nothing, and it was not so. I tried once, but it's very difficult not to increase the wealth of America right from the moment you wake up. From toothpaste to toothbrush to razor to whatever you do, you increase something. So how creative? How many of decisions of our own life we take ourselves? Actually, all the business, including the businesses which are into making people creative, don't want people to be creative. They want them to be consumers, because if people can make things on their own, who will buy the things the businesses make? If you can spin your clothes and you can make them, and you can do whatever, you can make your shoes and you can make your dresses and you can make your toothpaste and you can do. So when we do this, and there is a major advertising campaign telling you all the time that you don't know what is good for you, somebody else knows. And so this style is better, this color is better, this trend is better, their fashion designer, their interior designer, their food consultants, they're all the people telling you know nothing, just listen to us. This is the whole message. But in creative societies, we hardly have any of these professions. People shape what they make. And so you have, so the garment she is making is not for selling, but for her sister or for herself or for her. And so what is being embroidered is personal and customized and made with love. And you have small looms, completely handmade, where the fingers can do magic. And here the mind is actually involved in choosing all the things. This is a creative mind. You don't go be conditioned by a brand and just pick up from whatever is on offer, because you sold all your discriminating faculties to the brainwashing which the advertising did to your mind. And there is such wonderful variety. And none of this has to do with how much it costs, but how much pleasure it gives one. And these are the things which then inspire so-called designers. So they make ethnic collections, or they say, I got inspired by this, or I got inspired by this. But these are the original. So in such societies, you don't buy ready-made goods. You buy material, then you shape it yourself according to your size. And then all this happens. So I think it's hard to contest this statement. The world is more interesting when more people are creative. There are more ideas, more variety, more diversity, more different approaches and points of view. And actually, what do you need to be creative? We have everything we need to be creative. It's just our mind and shifting the approach. So the core concepts are the values which are emerging for the creative economy. You are self-reliant, your resourcefulness. Right now we are completely dependent. You recognize your own value and wealth. You see opportunities and self-vision. You know how to organize, you know how to network, you know how to collaborate, build a team, responsibility, leadership. And because of this, a new enriched digital lifestyle is emerging. Why I'm saying digital lifestyle, the way technology is going, it doesn't cost so much to have all the intellectual resources for nearly free. So affordable access to all the enriching experiences, all the books, all the music, all the movies, all the images with just one subscription of maybe 500 rupees per month brings you everything. No need to own everything, but to subscribe and share and actually have instant access. In my own home, I have so many books, but if I want to search a particular passage, I find it easier to go to Google and search for that passage, and it comes much faster than it will take me to find out where I kept that book, because it's somewhere there. We need to, this is a fundamental proposition. Happiness is in the mind, and having a lot of physical wealth or being rich is no guarantee of happiness. Usually it's being lonely and insecure, and the needs of physical body are very few. What happened?
One important element in your whole presentation which you have missed out on, the way I see it, is law. It doesn't feature anywhere in your presentation. Whereas I'm trying to, my point of view is that the system deliberately tries to sabotage people and push people in a certain way, push them in a mold. And one of the ways they sabotage is that they don't allow equal, they know that law has to be balanced with policies. But they go ahead making policies, but they don't bring the law up to date. So what happens is you have a skewed situation where the individual is caught between a dichotomy of choices and then gets pushed in a certain direction. So that's one thing that has been missed out in your presentation the way I see it. Secondly, you recommend sitting in one position. I appreciate your point of the flexibility and the points you made were very lovely, but what was the point that I wanted to make? I've forgotten. Sitting in one position.
No, sitting down on the ground without needing furniture, but in that assuming any position.
There's also the connectivity of food poisoning due to green revolution, which affects your knees, which does not allow you to sit on the ground. So there is a reality to this which we are missing out on. Second point. The third point is you speak about digitalizing and creative tools. 1 minute.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm nearly here.
Okay. Yeah. You want to go ahead with the 2 points while I...
We can go ahead with the presentation.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, we were here. So you can happy with nothing also. Abhida Parveen said, बादशाही के गुर सीखो बादशाही के हम फकीरों से. So if you have nothing, you are less worried. No, I think we had Joe Biden came to IIT campus, and they closed down all security operators. American security took over all of campus. I cannot go to my class. We have a corridor which is presumed to be safe. That means from the top, the satellite cannot see Joe Biden walking in which posture. But we have a bamboo lab which requires 15 feet of walking in the open. So his visit to the bamboo lab was cancelled because it involved 15 feet of walking in the open. So he is the second most powerful man in the world. So insecure, my watchman has more, or any student has more security. He can fearlessly walk anywhere. So this idea itself, that through power or through health, through wealth, or through owning a lot comes a feeling of happiness, is completely questionable now. This image I like because they're just three people sitting and talking, and nothing more. You need nothing else, just a mind-to-mind talk gives you great happiness. I come to these trends, greater affordability and greener products. So I said things become small, but they have great power. So solar energy, projection, faster communication technology. The projectors are this kind of size now. There is solar charging, which means you can combine functions, have things of very small physical. All the time we are addressing the problem which is coming from depleting material resources, and it's a big challenge for mankind, how to reduce consumption of material. So we are looking at solutions which existed and see if we can go back to what seemed like another era, but looks like perfectly acceptable if we just change the mindset. So rather than having different things, light, climate control, music, images, movies, interaction, design, we can eliminate the object. If you eliminate the object, we eliminate the object obsolescence. If you have chairs, they look like they are old chairs, so you feel like putting new chairs. If there are no chairs, there is nothing to repair. There is an air conditioner of a particular shape and somebody puts a better thing, it looks like last year's AC or last year's whatever. If you eliminate the product, just the experience remains, this obsolescence which used to create. So we come to this power of projection. The source does not have to be very big. This is broadcast of the main. The person is speaking has to just speak once in very soft voice and the whole world can hear. I don't have to shout. Image from a smartphone can fill the whole wall. A soft voice can be broadcast live throughout the world. So the power of something like this to change, and that's why we see suddenly very big change can happen very true, because it's spreading faster, it's spreading out of nothing, and minds are getting connected. So from personal devices, we have group devices, we have things which don't have individual computers for everybody, but one computer which works for all. And this approach, which you may call the bus approach, is against the car approach, because there is no need to own. For example, things like this, by and large, are obsolete, because all the processing function is very fun. All you need is a display function, and there is no need this display function should always be connected to this processing function. So, and displays connect to processing seamlessly everywhere. So everything about to be obsolete and better solutions will emerge and new models will emerge. So when we imagine new life style, which is not so dependent on using material, invariably you will find 2000 years of previous culture had many lessons for us. We just need supporters, we need space modifiers, we need experience creators, and we need creative tools. And that's all that will give all the happiness. And for this inspiration from tradition. This is actually a picture where the painter is painting something, but it may as well be an LCD display. So this is what, if we think about this whole phenomena, and if we can achieve this mindset, no, then the physical body need food, I mean, somewhere to sleep, not 47 stories to sleep, but somewhere to sleep, no, and some clothes for food, body, children, roti, kapran, makan, these are the things. But mind is connected and anything is possible nearly anywhere. That's what all the advertising tells us. So Vinobaji used to say, it's time to stop saying nation, nation and keep creating these differences. We should have victory of the world. अपना राष्ट्र राष्ट्र जपते रहेंगे तो निरंतर लड़ाइयाँ चलती रहेंगी. This finishes my first presentation. Shall we do the second one also and discuss together? Okay. So second one comes to this question of law, which you said I missed out. So we see now how law shapes what we do and the havoc it creates to minds who now have to be in knowledge economy. Up to now, is service economy or an obedient economy. The purpose of education society should run, but in knowledge economy, that purpose is discarded. So wealth in the knowledge economy is the ability to generate new ideas. Innovative and creative minds, the greatest asset of a nation. And this should be the purpose of education now. This means ability to think different, ability to work independently, ability to find own directions and areas to contribute, and to discover one's own sense of purpose for every single person separately. This is what is required if we are to flower in. But from kindergarten to postgraduate, everything, the education, the entire model is education by submission. Submission to the authority of the school, the law. This is my son, Hanu Trivedi. When he was in first, you get a school booklet which tells you all the rules, no? So it says all books and exercise must be properly covered in brown paper with a neat sticker having the students' detail. This is the first end to creativity because they all want the whole class to have this brown thing, the sticker they supply and do like this. This is the first. As soon as you go, they want you to conform. Interestingly, this just little book for class primary school and KG school, and it has sections like disciplinary rules, no? As if all the kids are indisciplined people. So they must come to school before 7 a.m. Latecomers will be sent home. As per the discussion and decision in the 7th Joint Staff Committee, as if it's the army or something, you know, following action will be taken to improve the discipline and general behavior of a school. Then step 1, student found indisciplined, send a written warning. If the offense is repented, this is how they look at kids, no? Offenders. And if offense is repeated for the 3rd time, should only get chapatis and bhaji and proper water bottle. I don't know what proper water bottle means. They should maintain complete discipline at all times. This is campus school in IIT Bombay, the fountainhead of excellence. They should move in a single file towards left, hand tied back and silently without making any sound of the shoes. Now how they do, if you walk, shoes make sound. But those kids are supposed to walk without making sound. And conversation in English should be compulsory in there. The book has warning pages. Teacher's remark, principal's remarks, action taken, homework not done. So by about the 3rd day, nearly everyone is feeling guilty. This is what the point you raised. Society does to us. All of us feel like we are lawbreakers and we are in such kind of situation, everybody becomes an authority addict. We have a PG school, so Master of Design course. But students come to me and say, should we write on both sides of the paper or should I write on one side of the paper? These are authentic question asked by a student and asked to send a report. What should be the margin, reading, viewing, and left side, right side. So the current education system, nearly nobody gets to do what they really wanted to do. Nobody even takes the trouble to find out what is this person meant to do. Nobody. There is no mechanism in the school system to find out in the early grades what is this person meant to be. So you need admission to a school. If you don't get admission, you don't there. You get to the school, you have no say in what you learn. From whom you learn, you are stuck with a bad teacher, you are stuck with a bad teacher. No? When you learn, this is our timetable. So 8:30 in the morning to 8:30 in the evening, every slot is fixed, and this is compartmental. Just now the dean sent a note that every hour clearly defined, and please leave 10 minutes for students to go. Look at this learning paradigm. Your learning of calculus starts now, and 45 minutes your learning of calculus stops, and you shift to learning of something else. And this, if you do for 2 years, you become a master of technology. See the model. This is IIT Bombay. So we have this 3 fixed location. It's assumed that only you can learn in the class assigned to teach that subject. Doesn't make sense. You can learn anywhere. I can learn sitting in the corridor. I can learn wherever. You can only learn with the teacher assigned to you, no matter how terrible it is. When the possibility exists that I can learn with the originator of a discipline, I'm still stuck with this person who is assigned my class teacher, and you can only learn from this time to this time. And then you have no chance. You assume everyone will learn at the same speed, will stop and stop. So all these are problems of it's only a 150-year-old phenomena actually, this way of education. And institutionalized teaching, and I call it physical infrastructure-based institutionalized teaching. That means the act of knowledge transfer happens in a fixed physical facility. And actually now, in its current sense, it has become too powerful, and it exists mostly to support itself. Somebody said universities exist to provide jobs to teachers. The learning function completely gone. But teaching and learning are completely different things. It's like having a pet dog whom you take for a walk. The student is sort of this situation. Because there's a fixed time, both get locked. In this situation, both get locked. No? The dog can only go where the owner can take. So the student will only learn what the teacher will teach. And teacher gets locked that if he wants to do anything else, but that's the time to take dog for a walk, he's stuck. He has to find another person to take the dog for a walk. This is Pilu, who lives in our garden. He's free. So all systems, including grading systems, including computerized systems, including whatever, basically designed so the act of teaching becomes convenient. Everybody forgets the student. There's a nice book by this title. And we have to remember that our education system, by and large, was designed to produce obedient workers and useful servants of the society. I remember when I was in school and we had to write a letter to the principal, we were taught a form. So it used to become, respected sir, most respectfully I beg to state. So even to state something, you have to most respectfully beg. No? You can't just say, I have a question. No. First you need, and it used to end, your most obedient servant. This is the mentality. Mostly the attitudes continue up to now in most of the places. And in the previous time, only teacher had the book, only teacher is studied. So the teaching, my teaching, most of all, was a long board, and the teacher comes and he takes a chalk and writes from this end to this end, and we all copy in our notebooks. Then something from that will be in the exam. And with more accuracy you reproduce that, the brighter you are. I'm 7th in Madhya Pradesh state in higher secondary, so brightest student, and 7th in university, because I just did data transfer with few defects. Like you send a file, then you call them, na? Is the file sent properly or shall I send again? That's the exam system. I transferred, but whether you received. And so there was a dependence because, and basically what we got was a third-hand education. I'm not saying third-rate education, but third-hand education, because the person teaching you didn't invent any of what he is teaching. Nor the person he learned, nor the book was the inventor. So knowledge which originally came from somebody else just keeps getting diluted and diluted, partly understood, and that gets transferred into us. On that everything is based. But when everybody has free access to all the knowledge and can choose who they learn from, this doesn't work. So first thing is to end teaching. Unless we end teaching, learning cannot begin, and it's a new context. So Center for Educational Research and Innovation in Europe had a 5-year research program to find out what will be the most effective learning environments. We are not talking anymore about teaching institutes, we are talking about learning environment. So first of all, there must be customized learning. Everyone should be able to learn what he or she wants to learn, availability of diverse knowledge sources, and collaborative working, not one-way transfer, not this way of sitting, and assessment for deeper understanding. Leon James is a great language teacher from University of Hawaii, and he said freedom to learn is a necessary condition for the full development of individuals' creative potential. It includes freedom from compulsory courses and curricula, freedom from authority, freedom from requirements of tests, examination, and tests. It sounds like, how would anybody learn if you throw away everything? Because the system is so entrenched in our mind, this is the only way to do. We cannot think this works better. This might. So actually China and Japan and Korea already realize this. There are many schools supported by the government which are allowing this kind of learning, and it's becoming mainstream. This is Lee School of Creativity in Hong Kong, where the director's office has this sign, up to you. Anybody goes to ask anything, it says up to you. Why do you want to ask? Decide yourself. This is the director. This is a classroom. Looks very disorganized and lawless. But if you see everybody involved in doing whatever they are doing deeply, no, not the board. And these are all various groups. This is supported by Korean government in Seoul, Haya Center. If you see the logo, it's a plant watering itself. So say, let's upgrade ourselves. Let's do something interesting, something we would like. So the quest begins from doing what you would like to do and not letting the system or the support. Actually, all education has to be a support system. If you know something, you don't need to learn. If you cannot walk, you need that walker. But if you can walk without the walker, you don't need the walker. And when you learn to walk, you can throw away the walker. No? But it becomes a control system. They will decide how you will do everything. So basically the true purpose should be to find out what is one's own interest. But when you are blocked by this kind of timetable and this kind of demands, you don't get any time to think about yourself. Even electives are pre-decided. There are 2 electives, you choose one from them. This is in our tradition. Knowledge is something which becomes methodical and systematic without any method, which is transferred, but no guru can transfer it. Aurobindo said, nothing can be taught. This looks like a nonsensical statement because the teaching is schools for everything. He says nothing can be taught. The teacher is not an instructor but a helper and a guide. But if we just think a little bit about it, just the activity of taking a class or teaching in a class is no guarantee that what you taught got learned. No? The act of teaching happened, but act of learning never happened. And so the teaching itself is impossible. It makes sense only when learning occurs, only learning occurs. Vinobaji said there are no words in Indian languages for teaching. There are only words for learning. So in the present system of teaching, when you teach a subject little at a time, in conjunction with host of others, what might be well learned in a single year is badly learned in 7. This is exactly our education system. Vinobaji said, that you pass at 30%. He said, what does it mean? Either you know how to make chapati or you don't know how to make chapati. What does it mean you know 30% how to make chapati? So it's the same system. If you want to learn something, either you learn or excel or you don't learn. So centers of learning must be students and educators to flower. And why flowering is so important, we're just coming to the end, is because from the flower come seeds which lead to the next generation. So flowering is nature's mechanism for ensuring continuing of the world. And actually the search, the way schools can be organized, is to begin by find out for every person what kind of flower I'm supposed to be. So school can't day, all of you will grow up to this height and flower in this manner. It's just a short video. So I end with a thought. The clarity just occurred last time when I was talking to Sudhinji. I always wondered why schools are so boring, the whole education. And we were thinking that two great things, two phenomena which make the world interesting. First is infinite variety. There is never sameness. Everything, you saw so many kinds of flowering, so many kinds of people, So infinite variety is one thing, and second is unpredictability. If we all know how our lives to be are going to be till we die, this world will collapse. But nobody knows what will happen next, which is what keeps the interest in living. If we know this is a switch God put, that you won't know what is coming next second. Now you look at the school system, I enter a new class and everything predefined, the books already tell, and you are told absolutely in the next 1 year you are going to read these books and this is the learning outcome and this is what will happen. So on the first day you know whatever is going to happen. Mostly I used to read all my books on the first day. So there is nothing left for rest of the year. It's so predictable and it's so boring. And that's why when you enter a school, it's not, I think it's not necessary to say you will come out with so many skills, you will be able to talk or you will be able to do. You are entering a school and something nice will happen. You will grow in a nice way. This should be enough, because if we keep that unpredictability, we keep all kinds of hopes alive and all kinds of possibilities alive. So I end with this thought, because we have created a system which learns nothing from God's way. Thank you.